Listening Comprehension, Vietnamese Standardized Test of English Proficiency, Ho Chi Minh City University of Education. Directions. In this section of the test, you will have an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to understand conversations and talks in English. Answer all the questions on the basis of what is stated or implied by the speakers in the recording. There will be time for you to read the instructions and you will have a chance to check your work. The recording will be played once only. Time allowance, about 30 minutes, including 05 minutes to transfer your answers to your answer sheet. Part 1. Questions 1 to 8. Directions. In this part, you will hear 8 short announcements or instructions. There is one question for each announcement or instruction. For each question, choose the right answer. A, B, C, or D. Then, on the answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer that you have chosen. Now, let's listen to an example. On the recording, you will hear.
Hello. This is the travel agency returning your call. You left a message about the holiday you've booked, asking which meals are included in the cost during your stay at Sunny Hotel. Lunch and dinner are free, but if you wish to have breakfast in the hotel, you will need to pay an extra amount of money, depending on what you order. Let me know if I can help you with any other information. Goodbye.
On the test book, you will read, which meal is not included in the price of the holiday? A. Breakfast. B. Lunch. C. Dinner. D. All. The correct answer is A. Breakfast. Now, let's begin with the first question. First, you'll have some time to read the questions 1 to 8. One.
What information can customers obtain from the website?
Good evening, this is the headquarters for the Irish National Bank. The office is now closed. Our regular business hours are 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Saturday, with the exception of national holidays. Should you wish to speak to one of our company representatives, please leave a message after the tone. You are also able to check account balances using our touch tone service. You can also use our web service for bill payments, the transferring of funds, or to obtain new product information. Thank you for choosing INB, and we look forward to serving you again soon.
Two.
What is the purpose of this radio announcement?
The Township of Lincoln would like to inform its citizens of the upcoming city closures due to festival events. Starting Friday, November 9th, St. Paul Street will be closed due to the annual city parade. Pedestrian traffic only will be permitted between Church Street and Jarvis Avenue. Priority access will be given to families with small children who wish to attend the event. The streets are expected to reopen Monday, November 12th. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. However, we do hope that all of the residents of Lincoln will join in the festivities to help make the annual event a success. If you have any questions about other planned events, please contact the city's tourism authority at 239-3497.
Three.
What will guests be doing at next month's charity event?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. and welcome to our third annual Business Awards Luncheon. We will begin with opening comments from last year's Business Person of the Year, after which we will enjoy a buffet-style lunch. Please remember that tickets are still available for next month's charity ballroom dance event entitled Under the Sea, which you can purchase at the reception desk. Shortly after lunch we will be acknowledging this year's award winners. Please sit back and enjoy.
Four.
What gift is being offered? Don't you deserve the most durable wristwatch on the market? You'll never have to worry about damaging your watch again with Thompson's new SkyTime wristwatch. Our most recently developed wristwatch is extremely accurate, and it is guaranteed for life. Our watches are not only reliable, they're stylish too. If you order now, Thompson will also include a pair of Dark Horse sunglasses with your purchase, and will ship your order within 5 business days. Please phone one of our customer representatives now at 1-800-999-7865.
Five.
Where is the main office of Jones & Burwell Consulting?
I would like to thank you all for joining our Board of Directors meeting this morning. I wanted to let you know that we have chosen Ms. Josephine Reynolds as a successful applicant for the position of Vice President of Finance here at Jones & Burwell Consulting Services. After successful completion of our executive training program, Ms. Reynolds will begin work with us in about 5 weeks. Ms. Reynolds joins us with extensive experience in the finance industry, having worked as Director of Finance at the Optic Group in London for the past 3 years. Prior to that, Ms. Reynolds worked for several years as an accountant with the Hudson Bay Company in Madrid. She will now spend 4 weeks preparing for a new position in our Los Angeles branch office before relocating to our headquarters here in Seattle. We are thrilled to welcome Ms. Reynolds to our group, and we look forward to her success here in Seattle.
Six.
Where is the speaker calling from?
Hello, June. This is Sue. Would you please tell Jenny and Anne that I'm going to be a few minutes late? We are scheduled to meet at 1 o'clock this afternoon, but my lunch meeting with the new client started 15 minutes late. We should be getting our desserts in a few minutes, but since it's already 12:45, I'm worried that I won't make it back to the office in time for our meeting.
Seven.
What did the speaker decide at a young age?
To respond to your question about how I became involved with political issues, I knew I wanted to become a politician from the time I was a child. After I began studying politics at Queen's University, I knew that I had made the right career choice. When I became president of the University Student Council, I had little time left to spend with my classmates. At age 25, as Student Council President, I introduced 20 new regulations to try to change the atmosphere of the school. I was proud with what I had accomplished, but I was worried that I wouldn't go beyond the student-level politics. However, now, after being recently elected as state governor, I am happy to have been given the chance to have become involved so early.
Eight.
Why are not many employees taking courses?
As you are all aware, we've been speaking with Boston Technical College about the training courses it provides for our employees. Despite the fact that these courses are provided free of charge, many of you have expressed concern over lack of interest from some of the employees in your departments. Some staff believe that there is no direct correlation between the courses and their salaries. However, as managers, we see the advantages that extra training provide. We have spoken with Boston Tech about ways that we can make the courses more convenient for our staff. As a result, we have decided that the professors will teach the courses in our conference rooms here at our company headquarters.
That is the end of part 1. Move on to part 2. Part 2. Questions 9 to 20. Directions. In this part, you will hear 3 conversations. The conversations will not be repeated. There are 4 questions for each conversation. For each question, choose the correct answer. A, B, C, or D. Questions 9 to 12.
Listen to a conversation between a delivery man and a secretary.
First, take some time to look at questions 9 to 12.
Hello, I'm here from Business Office Supplies. I have some file cabinets, tables and chairs to be delivered for Grace Cameron.
Sure, let me see if I can get her. Unfortunately, Grace is in the middle of an important meeting.
Well, I can't really wait. I have deliveries lined up all afternoon. Is there someone else that can sign the invoice?
Sure, I can do that. Why don't I contact the maintenance department to help you bring things in?
Questions 13 to 16.
Listen to a conversation between a job applicant and a company employee.
First, take some time to look at questions 13 to 16.
Hello, I saw an advertisement in a newspaper that you have a few positions available in marketing.
Yes, but there is only one opening right now. We do have several positions available in the technical support division. Would you like to learn more about those?
Well, I would prefer marketing. I have extensive experience in advertising, and I would only be interested in a technical support position if there were some training involved.
Why don't you go and wait in the visitors' room and I'll see if someone from HR can meet with you.
Questions 17 to 20.
Listen to a conversation between a man and a woman.
First, take some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
I think that this one has all the elements that you are looking for. There is a corner office, the windows overlook Central Park, and there is a kitchen in the back corner.
That sounds like exactly what we're looking for. I'd love to look at it. We only have a month before we expect to launch our new marketing campaign, so I was really hoping to get into an office as soon as possible. How much does it cost?
Well, the selling price is $500,000. We can look at presenting an offer slightly lower, but it will depend on the number of interested buyers in the market.
Yes, I know. Can I make an appointment for my partner and I to come by this afternoon to see it?
That is the end of part 2. Part 3. Questions 21 to 35. In this part, you will hear 3 talks or lectures. The talks or lectures will not be repeated. There are 5 questions for each talk or lecture. For each question, choose the right answer. A, B, C, or D. Questions 21 to 25.
Listen to part of a lecture from a social science class.
First, take some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Several theories compete to explain when, how, and where. Check that why wild horses were initially domesticated. Primitive cave art depicts horses as early as 32,000 years ago, but it's generally agreed that humans did not domesticate the animals until sometime between 5,000 and 2000 BC. Many scholars accept a theory and hypothesis that domestication occurred in the Ukraine about 4000 BC. However, recent archaeological evidence indicates that horses in northern Kazakhstan might have been domesticated as much as 1600 years earlier than that by the people of the Botai culture. The Botai appeared to depend on horses for transportation, food, and tools. But one of the archaeologists who discovered this new evidence has speculated that horses were domesticated even earlier, probably in Russia or the Ukraine, and then ridden east to Kazakhstan. Thus the plot thickens. Why is it so hard to pinpoint the definitive time and place of the earliest horse domestication? 1. A major reason is lack of concrete evidence, such as bits, reins, spurs, and saddles. Anatomically, modern horses are almost identical to their wild ancestors, which forces researchers to rely on circumstantial evidence in formulating domestication hypotheses. Archaeological excavations at several Eastern European sites that date to the 4500 to 3000 BC range, for instance, reveal equine molar wear, likely caused by friction from a bit. Whether the use of a bit signals full domestication or simple captivity, however, is subject to debate. At the Kazakhstan site mentioned above, part of the case presented for domestication is soil analysis that indicates ancient horse manure within a corral-like enclosure. But again, the fact horses may have been kept together in a corral does not necessarily equate with domesticity, because many ancient peoples used horses for meat and help with labor, similar to the use of oxen in harvesting today. Recent DNA comparisons between living horses and horse fossils suggests that domestication cannot be narrowed to a single place or time. Rather, it occurred more or less simultaneously all over the world. Because the DNA analysis revealed widespread genetic variances among both modern and ancient horses, unlike other domesticated animals like sheep and cattle, it appears that domesticated horses had multiple wild lineages in many different places. One prominent theory holds that there were 4 distinct horse prototypes, which may or may not have been different species, and that these prototypes were domesticated at differing times and places, as they adapted to various environments. The first of these is the draft horse, a small, thick-skinned Shetland pony ancestor that developed in the cold, wet climes of northwest Europe. A second prototype is the tarpan, from cold and dry North Eurasia. The tarpan is a pony-sized, dun-colored creature that preceded today's Przewalski's horse, which is the only equine that has ever been domesticated. The third prototype, which developed in Central Asia, was dubbed warm-blooded or forest horse. This long-necked, narrow-headed equine was larger than drafts and tarpans, and the forefather of heavy horses like the Andalusian. Oriental horses, the fourth subspecies, were slimmer, beautiful, fine-boned animals that adapted to the dry, hot climate of Western Asia, and were probable progenitors of modern Arabian horses. To a large extent, the domestication of horses depends on one's definition of the verb domesticate. While it's clear from the archaeological evidence that the earliest role horses played in human history was a source of food, and that pictorial and written depictions make it unequivocally clear that horses had been trained to pull chariots and use in warfare by about 2000 BC, the process of transition between these two polarities remains murky. One group of theorists believe that horses cannot be classified as domesticated until there is evidence that they have bred in captivity. A leading proponent of this viewpoint, researcher Marshall Levine, has hypothesized that horses were domesticated gradually, most likely by humans raising the foals of adults slaughtered for food. According to Miss Levine, over time the hand-raised horses became pets, and rather than eating them, people learned how to ride them and harness their speed and strength in order to capture other food sources, such as bison and deer. They also bred these horses with each other, though the exact date of the first successful domestic mating, like most of the evidence surrounding horse domestication, remains unclear.
Questions 26 to 30.
Listen to part of a university lecture by a professor of archaeology.
First, take some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
In this unit on ancient architecture, we've talked about the Taj Mahal, and about Machu Picchu in Peru, and of course, about the buildings on the Acropolis in Athens. And now I want to say a word or two about Angkor Wat in Cambodia, which is a vast complex of temples that was built for the Khmer king, King Suryavaram II, in the early 12th century AD. Angkor Wat was intended to be both a national temple and the capital city of the Khmer kings, but all of the city, all of the public buildings and shops and residences are gone. They were all wooden structures, and all that remain are the impressive carved sandstone temples. There are over 100 of them, in the classical style of Khmer architecture. The Khmer kingdom flourished from about 800 AD to 1400 AD, for about 600 years, and it controlled vast areas of Southeast Asia, from the borders of China to the Bay of Bengal on the east coast of India. During this time, the city of Angkor became an important destination for pilgrims from all over Southeast Asia. The temple complex is a combination of two basic Khmer designs, the Gallery Temple and the Temple Mountain. The massive, 65-metre-tall pyramid, the mountain of Angkor Wat, is surrounded by a moat and then a wall that encloses almost 2 square kilometres of space. Inside the wall, there are 3 internested, that is, concentric galleries, raised consecutively, like steps, and then the pyramid rises at the centre, with a crown of 5 lotus-like towers. It's architecturally and artistically breathtaking. The galleries and the moat were built after the pyramid, because their architecture was noticeably influenced by Indian Hindu temples. This is evident in characteristic features like the Jagati, which is a raised terrace or platform that the temple is placed on. All of the temple walls, inside and outside, are covered with beautiful bas-reliefs, showing scenes from Hindu mythology, historical narratives of Khmer battles, scenes from heaven and hell, and so on. The most extraordinary carvings are on the exterior walls of the third and lowest level. These include the churning of the ocean milk, the most famous panel of bas-relief at Angkor Wat, and one of the greatest scenes ever sculpted in stone. The myth centres on the gods and demons at the beginning of the world, who have been churning the ocean of milk for 1,000 years in an effort to produce an elixir that will render them immortal. The gods, discouraged because they've been unsuccessful in producing the elixir and exhausted from fighting the demons, seek help from Vishnu, who tells them to work together with the demons and continue churning, and eventually they succeeded. The mountainous central pyramid represents Mount Meru, the home of the Devas, the Hindu gods, and the 5 towers represent its 5 peaks. The surrounding galleries and moat represent mountain ranges and the ocean. The surreal magnificence of Angkor Wat has inspired various theories of its origin, its design, and its purpose. The orthodox view is that the location was simply chosen for practical, economic reasons, for its agricultural potential, and as a strategic military position. It was constructed by powerful Khmer kings as a service to their gods and to their people. However, other archaeologists have suggested that Angkor Wat's layout matches various complex astronomical measurements, that it was perhaps designed, and was carefully aligned and calculated, to be an intrinsic part of the spiritual harmonization of the universe in their ancient system of cosmology or astrology. Well, we do know at least that the design is not like most Khmer temples. It is oriented in the opposite direction, to the west instead of to the east, and the bas-relief carvings proceed in a counterclockwise direction, which is the reverse of the usual order. Because Hindu funeral rituals are performed in reverse order, this has led many archaeologists to believe that Angkor Wat was designed to be King Suryavaram's funerary temple or tomb. If so, it will be the most expensive tomb ever built. But other archaeologists say its western alignment is because it was dedicated to Vishnu, who is associated with that direction. So Angkor Wat's precise purpose remains unclear, a mystery for tour guides to exploit. Not long after Suryavaram's death, in 1177, Angkor was sacked by the Khmer's sworn enemies, the Chans, and then in the following century, the king converted the official religion from Hinduism to Buddhism, so Angkor Wat was converted to Buddhist use. It was generally neglected over the succeeding centuries, but it was never entirely abandoned, and this accounts for its relatively reasonable state of preservation from the encroaching jungle. A lot of restoration work has been going on since the early 20th century, but one of the temples, called Ta Prohm, has been left alone, entangled in the jungle just as it was when it was discovered, and the giant fig tree roots continue to engulf it, tearing up its sandstone walls and sculptures. So we can see how lucky we are to have much of Angkor Wat still with us.
Questions 31 to 35.
Listen to part of a university lecture by a professor of fine arts.
First, take some time to look at questions 31 to 35.
We're now going to spend some time, class, talking about the most revolutionary, the most prodigious artist in the history of modern Western art. Do you know who I'm talking about? Of course, it's Pablo Picasso. He was the artist who invented Cubism. He was the artist who invented collage. And he was the artist who experimented with more styles and media than probably any other artist in history, with the possible exception of Leonardo da Vinci. And what I'm passing out to you now are figures of some of Picasso's most famous and most revolutionary paintings. Picasso was born in Spain in 1881, and he died in France in 1973. So his life spanned most of the development of what we call modern art. He was a child prodigy. He began studying art very early under his father, who was in fact an art teacher, and in 1897, at the age of 16, he entered the Royal Academy of Arts in Madrid. In fact, he passed their entrance examination in a single day, even though applicants were given a month to do this. But after only a year there, he felt bored and stifled, and he dropped out. He went back to Barcelona, where he hung out with the other artists and musicians in the cafes for a while, and then he visited Paris, where he had a chance to see the works of such radical artists as Seurat, Monet, Cézanne, Van Gogh, and Charles-Lautrec, all of whom were, in their own unique ways, going beyond the realistic values of Renaissance illusionism. Picasso lived in Paris and Barcelona alternately for several years, from 1900 to 1904, and then he set up a permanent studio in Paris. 1901 to 1904 is known as Picasso's Blue Period, when he was a starving artist and sometimes had to burn his own drawings to keep warm. All his paintings during this period were done in somber shades of blue, and they depicted thin, depressed figures, paupers, and homeless people. If you look at the handout I gave you, you'll see an example of his Blue Period. The Old Guitarist, painted in 1903. Not a very happy-looking fellow, is he? From 1904 then to 1905, Picasso passed through his Rose Period, when he began to use warmer, more tender colors like pinks and beiges, and his subjects became circus performers and harlequins and clowns. You can see his most famous painting from this period on the sheet, his Family of Saltimbanquis from 1905. You'll notice, though, that this quiet group of circus performers still look alienated and uncommunicative, though they are treated more kindly than he treated the old guitar player. All of Picasso's paintings were rather two-dimensional up to this point, but then he began exploring pictorial volume, and this led to one of his most revolutionary works, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, which he painted in 1917. This is usually considered the first Cubist painting. You can see how Picasso reduces the ladies' figures to a series of wide, intersecting planes that are aligned with the surface of the canvas. In this way, they suggest a dissected, multiple view of the world. This was a radically new abstract pictorial language. In my handout, you'll also find some other examples of how Picasso's Cubism developed between 1907 and 1921. Woman with a Guitar is from 1912, for instance, and Three Musicians, which is a masterpiece of his later synthetic Cubism style, was painted in 1921. You can see in the Three Musicians how Picasso's planes have become much broader and much more simple, and how they exploit color so much more. The invention of Cubism is Picasso's greatest contribution to art. He was also interested in many other arts, in sculpture, ceramics, graphics, printmaking, and even in stage design. And he experimented imaginatively in all of these areas. Also, as early as 1911, he began to include newspaper clippings and other realia into some of his paintings, and he thus invented collage. His first and most famous collage is Still Life with Chair Caning. You can see it on your sheet. You can see that in addition to the painted lemon and wine glasses, it includes some fragments of literary letters and a piece of oilcloth. And Picasso framed it himself with a length of real rope. And of course, I should mention Guernica, the last painting on your handout, which is an extraordinary landmark of modern art,